So I know it sounds silly, but can Brie Larson touch Don Cheadle or not? Because this is a scene from an interview. Now, a number of people have talked about this on YouTube. It's quite a huge story. There's some videos talking about this that have got 1.2 million views. And it's gone a bit further. Now, what it shows is Brie Larson deliberately elbowing Don Cheadle. She does it quite a few times. And you can also watch Chris Hemsworth. Chris Hemsworth is watching it and he doesn't like it. And that's because you can hear Don Cheadle whisper, "I don't like being touched. I told you not to touch me." So this is something that's ongoing. Don Cheadle says, "I told you not to touch me." Yet Brie Larson didn't listen to that. She shows complete disrespect to her colleague and tries to elbow him to try and touch him. I don't know what that touching issue is about. It seems a bit over the top to me, but you should still respect a colleague. If a colleague just tells you something, you should still respect it. But Brie Larson, no, she's not respecting it. And it's not a joke. It's not a joke to Don Cheadle because you see him pull his elbow away. And if you look at Chris Hemsworth's reaction, it's not a joke to him. He looks really annoyed by it as well. Yet Brie Larson continues to do it because she knows she's able to wind up and annoy Don Cheadle. That's just silly because these are colleagues, these are professional people doing a job. They're not in a playground. This isn't a playful time for Don Cheadle. He doesn't see it as a joke, and Brie Larson should respect that. But now Don Cheadle has had to go on Twitter and try and wheedle his way out of it. Try and say, and what he says is, take a break from your detective work. So he wants people to stop talking about it. And that's because he knows there's something there. And you can hear him. You can hear him whisper, "I told you not to touch me." And that shows that Brie Larson does not respect what he told him. And yet Don Cheadle is obviously not going to come out and say, "Oh, I told her," and be more vocal or public about it. He's just going to try and brush it under the carpet. But instead, Brie Larson should just have respect for her colleague. And the thing that really frustrates me is what I made a video about this earlier. In a previous interview, you can hear Don Cheadle being supportive towards Brie Larson. You can hear her whisper. He turns around and whispers, "That was perfect." But what happened was, Brie Larson was asked a difficult question, and Brie Larson just gave like a deadpan answer and brushed it off. It was about giving spoilers away. So Brie Larson gave a good response to a difficult question, and you can hear Don Cheadle turn around and whisper, "That was perfect." And then it goes on to Chris Hemsworth. So while Chris Hemsworth is talking, Don Cheadle turns and says, "That was perfect." Yet what does Brie Larson do later on in this particular interview? She's deliberately elbowing him and touching him. Yet Don Cheadle says, "I told you not to touch." So it's gone from Don Cheadle supporting and encouraging Brie Larson and whispering to her, "That was perfect," to now Brie Larson just being a little annoying little brat. Because Don Cheadle isn't used to this. He's like a professional actor. He goes to work with professional people. All his colleagues from Marvel, whoever they may be, they're either very serious or they're very jokey, very comical, and they do it in a really funny way that Don Cheadle can be a part of. But now you've got Brie Larson come in, who's just trying to impose herself as the leader. She wants to be the leader of Marvel, both off-screen and on-screen. And now it's come to the point where she's just being a little brat to try and impose herself and annoy her colleagues. She's trying to tell Don Cheadle, "I'm the boss. If I want to annoy you, I will, and I'll get away with it." That's what this is about. She knows that her bosses will support her because she's the leader. She knows that the likes of Kevin Feige will take her side because she's now the person who can make Marvel money. So it's all about Brie Larson just gloating on the concept that she's now the leader of Marvel. And why do this? Why be so pathetic and so immature as an adult that you have to annoy your colleagues to this degree? When they've told you, you can hear Don Cheadle says, "I told you not to touch me." So this isn't something new. This isn't Don Cheadle pulling his arm away for the first time, which might be something different. That's fine. It's just a bit of a misunderstanding. But this is Brie Larson deliberately going out of her way to annoy Don Cheadle. And then Don Cheadle has to come out on Twitter and try and wheedle his way out of it, try and escape the issue. Why do that to your colleagues? Why not just respect your colleagues? Brie Larson, because she wants to be the leader and the boss of these people, both off-screen and on-screen, she's prepared just to annoy and irritate her colleagues. And she knows she can get away with it because she's the one who's going to make Disney shareholders a couple of $1 billion out of her Captain Marvel sequel movies. That's what it's about. Disney are not going to tell her to calm down and to respect her colleagues because she's going to make them a load of money. And Brie Larson knows this. She knows that she has a free license to be irritating to her colleagues. These are professional people that, Don Cheadle spent his whole life building up a career as an actor to get to this point of being a huge movie, potentially the biggest movie of all time. And guess what comes along? This little brat who's come out of nowhere, who will come along and just elbow him multiple times just to annoy him. It's so pathetic what this woman is doing. And you can see Chris Hemsworth. He knows what's going to happen. He knows that she's deliberately trying to annoy him. And it's not a joke. If it was a joke, fine. Or if it was a misunderstanding, fine. But again, you can hear Don Cheadle whisper, "I told you not to touch me." Why do that? He's so poor, and this interview is just a car crash of an interview because of Brie Larson behaving like a brat. Maybe she feels under a huge amount of pressure. She feels she has to be the leader both on and off screen, and this is like her pressure reacting. But either way, she should know better than to do this, than to wind up her colleagues. Because they don't want to be in these interviews. They don't want to go out there and sit in hotel rooms. These are millionaires. They want to be doing lavish lifestyle things, or out shopping, or spending time with their family, or doing other things instead of sat in hotel rooms answering the same question 50 times a day. They don't want to be doing it. And Brie Larson should respect her colleagues. But that's Brie Larson for you. It's just a horrible little piece of work who just causes this little annoyances every time, over and over again, because she has no respect for anybody. And nobody respects her. I don't think her colleagues respect her, and it's going to come back on her. This will come back. It might be 6 months from now. It might be 6 years from now. But this will come back on Brie Larson and bite her in the ass, because she has no respect for anybody. She has no respect for Don Cheadle, and she has no respect for Chris Hemsworth. You can see it in this interview. She's so horrible and nasty and twisted. She's just a horrible, horrible little woman. But if you disagree, leave your comments below and also like and subscribe. But it's just sad that Don Cheadle has to come out on Twitter and try and wheedle out of his situation when he told her. That's the whole irritating, frustrating part of this. Don Cheadle said, "I told you not to touch me." Brie Larson, as an adult, should have listened to that, but she didn't, because she's a little brat.